Welcome into Marketology, May 14th edition, a special day in the sports betting world. We have Supreme Court striking down PAPS for the Professional and Amateur Sports Betting Act, ruling in favor of New Jersey, opening the floodgates for legalized sports betting nationwide. We got one of the best sports minds in the business, knows all about it, has a extensive track record in the business, Matt Holt. Follow him on Twitter at Matthew Holt VP. Matt, welcome in, bud. Exciting day, huh? Yeah. So, what are your initial thoughts? I mean, is it something you definitely thought was going to happen, making it a favorite, or do you think that this is kind of like the underdog coming in and maybe surprising some people?
And maybe it wasn't the first round knockout that people expected, but the big favorite in the fight certainly did get home in this situation. This was always going to be the big favorite, that this one was going to get home. We're just happy that this day is finally here and with all the opportunities it creates for everybody.
Yeah, for sure, Matt. And one thing I wanted to get to, and a bunch of people on the chat box, just feel free to chime in with any questions you have. If there's any audio problem, are you seeing that? Johan, can everybody hear Matt? Okay. Good to go now. All right. Good stuff, guys. Matt, wanted to ask you a question here. Where do you see the sports betting industry maybe say by the start of football season and then maybe 2 years, 5 years down the road?
So I think what we'll see is, New Jersey will be up and running, and there's several, people think this is kind of New Jersey centric here, and that's not the case. There's, I think, 18 states already that have passed legislature that are getting ready to go. So what we'll see is some of these states that already passed legislature putting regulations into place, getting operators set up. And I think by football season, we'll probably see at least half a dozen of these states operating and taking bets. And in 2 years, I think you'll probably see as many as maybe 20 to 30 states, maybe at least 20. I think 20 is probably a gross understatement. You'll probably be closer to 30 in 2 years that'll be operating. And there's still certainly going to be some states that for whether for reasons that their legislative sessions are slow or the incumbents there aren't necessarily full on board, will be a little bit slower to come around. But I think eventually they all do come around.
Okay. And Matt, we got a question here from Andrew. What does this mean for offshore? One, can you explain your background? Did you spend time offshore in the offshore sports betting landscape before going to Las Vegas? And also, what are your thoughts on what this means for the offshore sports betting industry?
Sure. So, no, my whole history basically is in Vegas. 2005, once I graduated college in 2004, I worked at Don Best from 2004 to 2009, started my own company in 2010. That company got bought out by Cantor Gaming in 2011. I started working for them the end of the year 2011. It was then Cantor Gaming. So I've worked in a highly regulated market with Cantor Gaming from 2011 all the way now till 2018, where I just left CG Technology, which was then Cantor Gaming, and now started my own entrepreneurial endeavor, per se.
Okay. Good stuff. Great synopsis there. We got Joe asking, what are Matt's thoughts on how long before I will be able to bet on an app in Ohio?
Ohio's a good state. I don't think it'll be that long. I think you're actually in good shape in Ohio. They didn't pass legislature already, which means you could miss this football season. But I would say within 12 months.
And Matt, do you think there will be any other states besides New Jersey that are up and running accepting sports bets before the kickoff of, say, the college or the NFL football season?
Yeah, I do. With 18 states already passing legislature, including states like West Virginia, New York, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Michigan, some of these Mississippi, some of these states are pretty big states, especially college football states. When you think of the state of Michigan State, the Detroit Lions, what football means to the state of Michigan with legislature already passed, I could see them certainly taking bets prior to the kickoff of football. Same thing in Pennsylvania. They've been eager to go. They're right there on the border of New Jersey. Basically an hour drive away from New Jersey, you have casinos in Pennsylvania there in Philadelphia area. So I think Pennsylvania is going to be really quick to act here. They've been preparing for a while. New York too seems quick to act. They understand that right across the bridge from Manhattan is the Meadowlands in New Jersey. New York's going to want to make sure they keep as much of that revenue as they can in state. They already passed legislature. I think they'll be quick to act, or at least passed a bill, right? So a lot of these states have passed bills, or at least put bills up to be passed, and I think you'll see a lot of them moving very quickly now.
Okay. And Matt, I know you're really busy today, so we'll try to make it a quick show, answer a few more questions here. One, and also everybody out there, if you could share on Facebook, retweet on Twitter to get this information out, that would help us out a lot. We'd appreciate it. One thing I saw in a CNBC article today, Matt, is, here, I'll just read the quick caption. The state law at issue would allow people aged 21 and above to bet on sports in New Jersey casinos and racetracks, but would ban wagers on college teams based in or playing in the state. Do you think that that's a good caveat there, banning the college teams within each state?
No, I think that's a terrible law, and I think eventually it'll get changed. We used to actually have it here in the state of Nevada where you couldn't bet on UNLV, couldn't bet on Nevada, Reno. They realized that that wasn't a law that actually has any beneficial effects toward the state or toward the integrity of the games, and eventually they changed that, and now you can bet on all teams, including UNLV, Nevada, Reno, in the state of Nevada, and I think New Jersey will come around on the same thing.
Okay, and so do you think that there's any, maybe the integrity of the game, keeping that in state with maybe say a Rutgers point guard being bought off? It's easier to buy off him than an NBA millionaire, no?
Yeah, sure, it is. The same thing here with us in UNLV and Nevada, Reno. But what we found is with the amount of solid monitoring of game integrity and fraud prevention out there, really, those teams are at no higher risk than any other team. So, banning wagering on those teams within the state doesn't necessarily have the beneficial effects that one would think. Instead, it just promotes bad optics out there that, hey, we think there could be issues with integrity if we allow wagering on this team. Again, that rule used to exist in the state of Nevada. It got changed, and I think eventually it'll get changed in New Jersey as well.
Okay. We got some more questions here. What about California? And also a similar question from Andrew. Thoughts on the first state on the West Coast proximity that will approve?
I would say Washington, Oregon, or Arizona will be first. Probably Oregon or Washington. Washington, I know, put a bill up as well. So, I think it'll be one of those states. California, I don't know. It's a huge state. Obviously, a lot of incumbents there, and sometimes they don't always see on the same page, and it's hard to rally things the way it is in a smaller state. So I wouldn't be surprised if California and Texas move a little bit slower because of the size of the state and then how hard it is to get things passed in a state that big. If you said which state on the West Coast will go first, I'd put my money on Washington or Oregon.
Okay. DJ Mike asking, the fantasy sites have been hiring experienced gaming behind the scenes guys. Any indication on how DraftKings, FanDuel will have how they'll enter the market? Do you know anything about them, Matt?
Well, I think DraftKings put out a press release today saying they were entering the market. So you could take the speculative effect right out of that. It's been known on the insider of the industry for a long time. I think that DraftKings had the intent to enter the industry. But at this point, you can go ahead. They released it publicly. So why not just quote public information? They have every intent to enter the sports betting industry now.
Yeah, okay. Rich Banks asking, do you know when CG Technology going to start accepting live bets in person at other locations? Also, Matt, like any other, not just CG Technology, any of the big guys, do you see them all expanding? In which ones would you put your money on to kind of get the most revenue out of this?
Well, there's some places like William Hill already has an exclusive deal set up in Monmouth Park in New Jersey, so that's a pretty well-renowned name here in Nevada. Plenty of the big casino operators also own casinos in Atlantic City, so expect to see some names that you're used to seeing, like the MGM folks and the Harrah's folks, who already have casinos there in Atlantic City. So you're going to see some familiar names, certainly between William Hill and some of the casino folks that are operating here in Nevada now are also going to be operating day one in New Jersey as well.
Okay, Matt, another question here from QQQ Wilson. Government lines about to be out of whack. That's how they'll get paid. You know, with the whole integrity fee, one, do you think it's too high? Two, do you think it's sustainable to where, you know, it won't make a black market of sorts because they tax it too much?
Well, taxes and an integrity fee are completely different things, right? And we've seen some of the annual fees that they put on in New Jersey, and we'll have to see, right? I mean, we'll have to see what the level of effort that the leagues and the casinos themselves are willing to put into integrity. Integrity really is important, not just from a league standpoint, not just from an integrity of game standpoint, but integrity of information. You know, I think everybody would say, hey, we want it to be fair. We want the whole public to know that LeBron James is resting tonight at the same time. Take away that insider info part of it. There's a lot more than just players or referees fixing games that goes into integrity. So, I mean, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to monitor. Let's see how it all works out before we say any fees are too high.
Okay. And Matt, is there anything you want to throw out on your mind about today and the decision going forward?
Look, I just think it's a historic day, and the windfall of opportunity that's going to present itself with all of this happening is just amazing. I think the amount of states that are going to be offering bets in football season is going to surprise a lot of people, because New Jersey is the one state that sort of dominated the headlines here. Everyone says New Jersey, New Jersey, New Jersey. In fact, it's New Jersey today that just won this lawsuit in the Supreme Court decision. But at the end of the day, so many states have passed legislature. And what surprises me is, with the amount of eyeballs and media coverage of the Supreme Court ruling, the lack of eyeballs covering a state-by-state basis on these states that have been passing bills and passing legislature. And I think people are going to be a little bit surprised. I think you're going to have people in these states that are allowing sports betting this football season who went, oh, wow, I didn't even know you could do that. And all of a sudden they'll be allowed to bet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like New Jersey's the trailblazer, but there's a whole bunch of other states that are coming behind that are going to do just as well. So New Jersey's getting all the kind of pub, but yeah, it's great it's going to be changing for all the other states as well. Well, Matt, I know you're a busy guy today. If nothing else, I guess we can shut it down if you don't want to throw anything else out. We got a question. I know you probably haven't looked at it a lot. Do you have any bets today on today's card?
I don't. I'll be honest with you. I've been so busy today, I didn't even look at the board. I will say this. It's interesting. Everybody's all over the Golden State Warriors again. I mean, all over them. And don't forget, they were all over the Cleveland Cavaliers going into that Celtics series as well. And interestingly enough, if you look at the last team to defeat the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series, the Cleveland Cavaliers, a couple of years ago in the NBA Finals, the one thing they were able to do is take advantage of switch-offs on ISOs. You know, ISO Steph Curry, get the right guy on Curry, and be able to get those one-on-one situations. Who better to take advantage of one-on-one ISOs than the Houston Rockets with Chris Paul and Harden in that backcourt? I think, look, obviously Golden State's the proven commodity, and they are a deserved favorite in this series, but don't be surprised just because of style of play offensively. If offensively Houston doesn't give Golden State a little bit more trouble than some people might think.
Okay, fair enough. And I'll back that up with I'm on the Houston Astros -125. That was Con with the question. Guys, we appreciate you chiming in. Thanks for the likes. And if you can share on any social media, we'd appreciate it. Matt, know you're busy. Give him a follow on Twitter @MatthewHoltVP. And best of luck this week and going forward with your new venture, Matt. Appreciate the time, man.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, everybody. Take care.